The subcompact sedan segment isn't exactly known to be the most sporty looking. However, Nissan has managed to make this one very sporty with their all-new 2022 Nissan Almera VLN Sport. If you look at the hood, there's an entire line stretching from the top all the way to the grille, which makes it even more sporty. And then your grille is what Nissan calls the V-Motion design, and it looks proper good in high gloss black as well as chrome. The Nissan badge on this one is slightly different looking because there are sensors in that for autonomous emergency braking, as well as a hidden front camera above it. Down below you get a silver painted chin, LED headlights, and fog lights. And towards the profile of the car, yes, it's still the typical subcompact look, so it's a bit bloated looking. They couldn't really make it that sporty. However, to add to that, they do give you a line that runs all across the doors as well as on the fenders. Then you get silver painted wing mirrors as well with blind spot monitoring indicators as well as repeaters. For your rims on this one, you get 16-inch rims and they're very aggressive looking. You get disc brakes up front and drum brakes towards the rear. You also get these quarter panels to aid interior visibility, as well as this black line over here at the back to make it just a little bit more sporty. Another feature this one has is your smart keyless entry. Unfortunately, it's not the one that you just touch to unlock. Instead, you do have to press this black button for both the lock and unlock. The rear of the Almera, thankfully, is more similar to the front of it than to the side. So it's not bloated in any way. It looks sharp, sleek, and actually rather elegant. So number one, up top, you do get the slight crease that gives you a little bit of a spoiler effect. You got some of your badges here, Almera badge, N Sport, and VL Turbo. Then your lights, they are slightly dark tinted, which makes it even more sporty. Then you also get your reverse camera over here. Down below, you get these accents, which looks like fins or squares. It's kind of hard to describe, but it is really nice looking. It just adds so much less blandness to this backside. And then you also get this entire silver trim down below as well as your reflectors. Opening up the trunk, you get a pretty good sized trunk. You can also fold down the rear seat 60/40. However, what's a bummer is that you don't have those levers you can pull to fold them down from the back. Instead, you do have to enter the second row to fold them down. Then if you open up this cover down below, you also get a donut spare tire and a car jack. Powering the Nissan Almera VLN Sport is a 1-liter turbocharged inline 3 engine, making a flat 100 horsepower and 152 newton meters of torque. These figures may not be as sporty as the looks of the car, however, it's actually pretty fast for its class, and this one is also mated to a CVT transmission. Hopping inside the Almera, let's start off with the back seat and first door hood check. Sounds pretty good for a subcompact car. Now, why is it that we started with the rear seats? Because I absolutely love the rear seats in this car. In most subcompact sedans, the rear seat legroom is okay and headroom is okay. However, the main problem is that the seats tend to be very thin and unsupportive. But for this one, your thigh support is amazing, and even your backrest, it feels so comfortable. Even the lumbar support on this is just excellent. Then you have those slight hints of bolsterings towards the sides to keep you in place. You also get a two-tone design for this one with stitching too. And as for your toys, you get 2 charging ports down below, a cup holder. Then you also have this really fat, I'm talking about fat aft armrest right here with 2 cup holders. However, it is a bit high, so if your torso is on the short side, this could feel a bit high for you. Then on the doors itself, you do get another jug holder here. What I don't get is that here we go again with these map pockets. So you get one for the passenger side, but not for the driver's side. I mean, how hard could it be? And how much did they save doing that? Then seating 3 people in here could be a little bit of a struggle, so it's best reserved for 2 people. There is a slight transmission tunnel. Headroom is pretty much non-existent for the middle seat, but even if you do sit in the side seats, your headroom could also be slightly limited if you're anyone above 5'9" or 5'10". Now we're here on the front of the Almera. Let's check the door thud. Actually, the back sounds a little bit better. Now let's start the car up. You get push button start right beside your shifter. And inside the interior, the materials aren't too bad. So up top, although you do still get your regular hard touch plastic as well as on the side, Nissan did give you a couple of really nice things. So you get leather padding on the center part of the dashboard with stitching. You get carbon accents around the speedometer as well as here on the side of the doors. And then your steering wheel, it is also leather wrapped with stitching, and it is also flat bottom. What I love about this, it is tilt and telescoping, but it's a bit heavy, so it does have a tendency to drop really fast. Your speedometer, it's your regular speedometer to the right, but to the left of it, you have a digital instrument cluster which you can control using the buttons on your steering wheel. Then your 8-inch touchscreen is among the best in the industry. It's incredibly responsive, and it also comes with Apple CarPlay, which is again also very responsive and so easy to use. You also get cameras for this one. Aside from your regular reverse camera, you also have a front camera, 360-degree top-down view camera, as well as a side camera. That way you will not curb your wheels. Your shifter is pretty cool because although it's just a regular shifter, there is a hidden sport mode button over there. You got a cubby up here, USB port, 12-volt outlet, 2 more cup holders at the center, and a huge jug holder towards the side. You also get single zone climate control for this one, so that is pretty good because it is a Nissan and it is incredibly cold in here. Then your seats here are so comfortable. Although it's only manually adjustable, you can adjust it up and down so much. You can easily find your perfect driving position. That's also two-tone with stitching. And now we move on over to my favorite part of the Almera, just how much safety feature this has for its class. So to start off, you get 6 airbags as standard. You get ISOFIX tethers at the back, blind spot monitoring. You get intelligent autonomous braking, forward collision warning, and rear cross traffic alert as well. So driving the 2022 all-new Nissan Almera VL Turbo and Sport. We took this car over here to the twisty roads of Tanay, and I am very much exhilarated by how this car drives. I really did not expect a subcompact car such as this one, especially at this price point, to handle this well. And although the steering feel is non-existent, it's incredibly light, good for the city by the way, it still handles pretty good for its class. I haven't yet driven the all-new Honda City, but compared to the other cars in this class which I have driven, this thing is the best. Although you only have 100 horsepower, it feels like you have a lot more. The car is also really light feeling, so it's very tossable, it's very chuckable, and you will not feel lacking in any way, even with just 100 horsepower. Turbo lag, not so much there. You get your power more or less at the mid-range, and since you have the CVT transmission, which isn't as rubbery, and although it's not the best out there, it does a good job of keeping you at the particular part of the rev band where you get the most power. There's also this hidden sport button on your gear lever, which even gets you to that mid-range faster and keeps you there. That way you get power anytime you want. I didn't really push it so much because this is not my car and we do not condone that. However, for the general speed that I was going, it really did not understeer, which is probably the only car so far that I've driven in this class that does not understeer. Now, the only gripe I have with the Nissan Almera is if you're traveling at upwards of 70 kilometers per hour, there seems to be a lot of road and tire noise entering the cabin. I think that is because this car is running on these eco tires, these Ecopia tires. So if you do replace those tires to comfort-oriented tires or maybe even performance tires, not only will this car handle a lot better than it already is, but it will also give you a much quieter ride inside the car. If you're worried about noise, aside from the road noise, wind noise is kept to a bare minimum, and then harshness is excellent. I've driven a lot of mid-size sedans, and even, let's say, the benchmark mid-size sedan is the Camry, and for some reason, this car is as comfortable, if not just a little bit softer, than the outgoing Camry model. So that is just something I can't wrap my mind around, because this car, not only does it have a much shorter wheelbase, but it also sits at an extremely low price point. Next up would be the seats of the Almera, and they are really comfortable. I've been driving this car for the past couple of days, and each time I drive it, I've been driving it for more than a couple of hours at a time. And it's just so comfortable, it's so supportive. Even though I can't really adjust my lumbar, there's no adjustments, it still doesn't give me a sore back. I've driven way more expensive cars with less comfortable seats than this one. So these seats are just perfect. Driving position is also excellent care of my tilt and telescoping steering wheel. Visibility in this car could be a little bit of a problem. In the city, when you're going at low speeds, it's pretty good because you can easily see out of it. However, when you do go on faster speeds, like here in Tanay's twisting and widening roads, you do tend to want to look out of your really thick A-pillar, so I do have to kind of move my head around once in a while. Now that we're back here inside the city where the Almera is most at home, this car right here has the auto stop start system, which is really fast. It's very responsive. It doesn't feel like your car is really stopping. And although your compressor does die, since it has the Nissan AC system, which is quite cold, even if your compressor dies for an extended period of time, the cabin still remains very cold and you will not feel warm in this car. Next would be the steering. Since the steering is incredibly light and incredibly numb, no matter how tight the street is, you can easily maneuver this car no matter how slow the speed is also. And 3-point turns, U-turns, no problem with this because it's incredibly short and your turning radius is pretty good. In slower city speeds though, the CVT transmission has a slight tendency to have just a tiny bit of jerk at times, but you kind of get used to it pretty fast so it doesn't really affect you in any way. Fuel economy in this car is another strong point. In the city, after hooning this a lot, I've averaged 11.6 kilometers per liter. However, if you decide to drive this sedately, I assume you can get this up to upwards of 13 kilometers per liter. On the highway though, this car returns 25.8 kilometers per liter. That is borderline motorcycle territory right there. It's absolutely excellent and you can go miles and miles in this thing despite only having a 35-liter gas tank. Speaking of your fuel, you do need to gas up with 95 octane or premium fuel, or at least that's what Nissan recommends. Can you use lower grade fuels? Maybe you can, especially at a ditch. However, it's still best you use 95. That way you get all the performance and to make sure that your engine does not knock. At 1,098,000 pesos, the Nissan Almera could be a little bit high in the price range when it comes to subcompact sedans. But every bit of that, every peso counts with this car because it's just a supreme subcompact sedan. When I drive this car or when I ride this car, I feel like I'm in a much bigger, much more expensive, comfortable car. It's pretty much really just like driving a mid-sized car. You get all the features and the comfort and the tech that you would expect from that segment in this tiny package. So should you go ahead and buy this car, consider it, or maybe just right ahead and cross it off of your list, I highly urge you to just go right ahead and buy it because this car is just the excellent, the best subcompact package that I've tried so far.